Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Dragon Coffee. The footage that you are seeing in this special episode of Dragon Coffee was immediately taken after we did a session of our usual online Wednesday sessions. You can see the sessions currently on our Twitch channel. Our Twitch channel is 1D4 Wizards, but beyond that, this is pretty much us ranting about Baldur's Gate, ranting about some of the things that happened during our D&D session, and just generally having some fun. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Fuck, you see this? You see this game?
I know, but like I didn't also. We'll stick around a little bit for the stream because I'm sure we'll do something else afterwards. But beyond the point, with that, I can only react to the way that the other players are playing as well. I mean, like, M was very quiet and made sure not to pipe up for that specific reason because M was already dealing with a lot of stuff. Like, Malik was dealing with some bullshit with the Revenant. The Revenant's gone, Malik's good. Like, Malik's chill. That was the only issue for Malik at that point. It was a very big one.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the biggest.
That's one of the biggest ones that could have happened. I was just like, what? Reading more into that creature, that is an awesome creature. Revenants are fucking dope.
Revenants
they're actually really cool.
And the thing is that you can only get rid of them with a wish. That's the only way to get rid of them.
Literally, though.
The only way.
It fats so well with the monster that I'm just like, holy shit, that was unintentional.
No, I knew that to begin with because I was looking at Revenant a lot because I was planning on using it a while back, but I didn't ever use it and like whatever. I don't have a reason to. I don't care. Right. And then I didn't use it. But no, Revenants are fucking bitches. But it's the fact too that he's using souls to power these spells. That is not
it's sus, right?
That is not a like.
It's super sus.
That's not a good aligned creature thing to do. Plus, he literally had the knowledge that fucking efforts are evil. And he ignored it. He glossed over it. He said fucking...
He didn't care about that!
I know.
Why was he gonna... He's not gonna care about that. So, yeah.
They're evil creatures.
They're really evil. They're the worst of the genies.
He said it would take him normally years. What he did in years, he did in a day. That's accelerated power.
It's very much accelerated power. I don't know what to say. That like he made the deal. He somehow convinced Lefty to do that because you guys had such a strong connection as friends. And because of that, I guess we're in for a ride. Like this is a ride that like I was not expecting, but this is a roller coaster. This is a fucking... It's not even a normal roller coaster. I'm trying to remember, like, there's like an animated show that was like a roller coaster that went like the hell. Oh, it was Jimmy Neutron. Remember the Jimmy Neutron movie? Where, like, for some reason there's like a theme park. We probably need to watch that soon. I
did. I've only seen it, but
it's been a long time. But like,
I remember the only thing I got from that was peeing in the shower, and then I started peeing in the shower afterwards. And
really?
That's it. Yeah,
I think I did too.
There was a part where he was like, "I'm peeing in the shower."
Go.
It. I started peeing in the shower afterwards. I'm like, okay, whatever, fuck it.
I mean,
why not? Just going down the
personally
drain.
don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Beyond the point.
No.
It's always him putting the Ultra Lord mask on in the shower while peeing. He just goes, I'm peeing in the shower. Go. And he just puts the Ultra Lord mask on. I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't take that shit off.
No, it gets all wet and like mildewy.
Mm-hmm. If he was a D&D character, he would be a patron. He would use Ultra Lord he would be a warlock, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's very charismatic. In his mind.
Yes.
Never mind. He's charismatic to the dumb. And I'm simple dumb at points. And
he would come off as such to people
It's the bard charisma sometimes where like they say so much random stuff and it's just so funny that they're ignoring how stupid it is.
Exactly. But no, man, dude. This is centralized fuckery. Dude, the guy just fucking came out of kids. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
fuck are you doing
That's
here?
what a wish does.
What
It does some random stuff.
And they were just like, it was just like, what the fuck are you doing here, kids?
He
I
just
thought I
gathered
told
them
you to
up.
get into. Yeah, he just scooped the asses up and just put them inside the fucking carriage, and he was like, Strahd's house.
Yeah. Which is nuts. Oh, Jake just messaged me.
Well,
What do you have to say for yourself, buddy?
I'm sorry. No, he's not. He's not sorry. He's not going to say that either.
Oh, he's wondering about the feats and stuff. For the
Oh, like
most,
level 1 feat or something?
he's thinking about like what he can do to have it like in his character sheet to have like the tech magic on there, and there's a lot of easy ways to do that.
Magic Initiate's the easiest. Just add it as a
Yes,
feat.
I would just kind of do that, but the problem is it's going to tell him there's restrictions, but it doesn't matter.
No, you don't care.
I don't care about no fucking restrictions. I'm not gonna. I never even told you that there was a DC to it. He didn't even try. There's no DC to what he's doing. If he tries to detect thoughts, he pushes through.
Oh, that's not good.
There's no DC to that.
But remember too, the brain worms, their influence gets stronger when you keep abusing it.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's very much. That's why he was seeing no negatives, because no one's going to show you any negatives.
No, you're not gonna see them immediately.
No.
That's why I was just like connecting the fact like this guy, and on top of that, he has a brainworm too. Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
Like what? He has a brainworm too. What the fuck do you mean? That's not good.
That's not good. He's already presented himself to be a gambler, someone who makes a ton of risks for no reason. The amount of red flags that were shown and were ignored were insane, and that's
All of
funny
them.
as hell.
Oh no, of course it is.
That's
I mean, like, come on.
hilarious how much red
'Cause
flags were ignored.
I would definitely Kish would be on that level of ignoring all the red flags.
Yeah,
I literally I said hello to Oriole. Hello, pretty lady.
Hello, Devin.
That was Kish. Hello, pretty lady. What are you doing here?
So good.
And he was a smart character too. He was technically a wizard.
Yeah.
So he just didn't. He's seen it as, oh, this is just a pretty fucking lady. This chick is just a pretty lady. But no.
Yeah.
Come on. It had a brainworm.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Quote unquote. That's also the thing too. He could have just been feeding into the bullshit that he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And using whatever context clues he was to associate with the brainworm.
He literally said he had all of his abilities that he couldn't do, that he forgot about. That could have he could have Sherlock Holmes it and figured that out.
Exactly.
But like, it's more funny that he didn't.
Like, it's just the fact. Like, come on. Like, there's so many things that just said it's too convenient that he just started venting to anyone on quote unquote the line.
He even blatantly said, I have to report to someone else too."
Yeah.
Who else is that?
That's why I was just like I don't think my guy would know about the elder brain specifically, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to allude to, well, he would know that they have like a mind hive of some sort.
Yeah.
Like they talk to each other, because you never see them talking out loud, really.
No.
They don't talk out loud, but they communicate somehow. You know? Mm-hmm. So I would just conclude that they're talking to someone in their brains, because that's what people do sometimes. They can do that shit. Right? And so it's just like, how and why would a genie? He's on the primordial elemental plane of fire. How the fuck did he... What? That doesn't make any sense.
Anything that comes from the plane of fire clearly is capable of good, right?
And not even that, right? If this thing is just the embodiment of flame, fire, and destruction, nothing like that would even be able to infect it. And also, regular diseases or infections that people get would not be able to afflict such a creature of a high level. It's strong enough to be a patron.
Yeah.
So that means it's ascended, clearly enough to become strong enough to give people powers. So it wouldn't be infected by a simple fucking mind flayer.
I can't reveal anything, but it's
Oh, I know.
fun to speculate for sure. I
Oh,
loved
I
it.
know.
Well, you got introduced to something that might be whatever's giving you powers. And you could have always said no, but like Lefty leaned into it, I guess. Because of Marcel, right?
Yeah,
Is it because of Marcel that he leaned into it?
yeah.
Would he have said no otherwise
Oh, right
and gave
away.
up his powers?
Right away. And I would have just been kind of desk clerk.
And we would just figure it out another class for you and then just been done. There's
Or
nothing
become a
wrong with
desk clerk.
saying no to it and then moving on to something else.
But
I
now
could
this
have
guy
added
wants,
to a different plot for your character of just being
my
like,
man wants 5 wishes. Wow.
yes,
And
he already
then
has
after
two.
that, he said, "Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, since this fucker is just riding this shit, just riding this wave, I'm gonna load it up more after that."
That's what he said.
And then he says, "Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell him that he's gonna get real fucked up if he doesn't use those wishes either." So it's not even like
He did allude to that.
at that point. No, that was afterwards. He didn't say, "Oh, yeah, I did." It's like,
Well,
I
he
just
gave the
forgot.
time limit, but that's about it. He didn't say anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah, he said that after the grievance was done.
True.
He's like, "Dude, I can do so much good. Think of all the good we could do. Wow." What?
This is what was
A
told.
chaotic evil creature? And it's not even like, oh, he said you're like, okay, but in my world, sometimes they're like this, and sometimes they could be more lenient. You're just like, no, they're evil. No, they're just plain evil.
I
That's
did.
it.
That's what I said. I also did allude to a little bit like no creature is truly evil in my world. I mean, like there's never going to be like a. I mean, I alluded to the knowledge he would have in most books.
Yeah.
It would tell him straight up, no, these guys are bad guys. So from the book's perspective and from a
Yep.
purely knowledge perspective, you're just going to get either logic driven or theory crafting. That's mostly what you're going to get from these books, especially when you're theorizing about what stuff could be. That's why when I was saying when you're looking at these books about the Duragar poison and what it can do, most Duragar are affected by fucking Mind Flare. Out of all the races in D&D, you would think, okay, so the Drow are clearly no. Drow are capable of defending themselves. They have fortified
No.
forts. Don't get me
It's
wrong. The Drow
the
can be
Gith
affected,
Yankee.
but
The Gith Yankee were the slaves to the Mind Flayers.
well, that was
They were
before.
experimented on.
When we're talking about the Githyanki, we're talking about something completely different. What I'm
Yeah.
referring to is what has existed before the Githyanki, or we're talking about the races that had already existed in the Underdark before that. The Duragar are the most effective because they're the most ravenous and the most chaotic. Not to say that
Oh,
there
yeah.
isn't others that are chaotic, because when you go into the Githyanki, a lot of Githyanki are fucking chaotic too.
No, we've seen the examples. They get fucking arrogant because they communicate with dragons.
Literally,
I
they can.
mean,
They're gifted mind powers. Not
yeah.
granted, it was in a fucked up way that they didn't ask
Oh,
for,
oh yeah.
but they're gifted the mind powers from the mind flares from the get go, from their pure existence, from their existence of being created. They're already in a fucked up state of mind. So I can understand from like a race perspective or a species perspective why the Githyanki are the way they are. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
we gotta like them. They're dickheads, but
No,
that's beyond the point.
they can use their powers for good. They choose
Yeah,
not to.
most of them don't. That's why when people refer to the Githyanki, they're most of the time they're referred to in a monster stat block. How many dwarves do you see in a monster stat block besides Duergar? I mean, granted, there are some dwarven stat blocks, but nowhere close to the amount of when you are looking at those, they're Durgar because most of
Yeah.
them are bad.
And they're variants that have different tiers of their own powers and whatnot.
He was communicating with a mime master. The Durgar that I was referring to, the Durgar
Yeah.
Mime Master stat block, He was
Yeah, that's
communicating with
what
one
I'm
of those
saying.
fuckers that somehow that's connected to the line via fucking mind flare shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they have tiers. Like it's not just, oh, you're just a Durgar and all Durgars are equal.
No,
No.
far from it. Some of them are just, okay, I'm somehow connected to this place, and I want nothing to do with my clan. I'm kind of doing my own thing, but beyond the point.
We're
What's
involved. We've involved ourselves with so much shit, and the fact
I'm
that
introducing
literally
stuff. You guys don't have to interact with it, but you've been interacting with
Durgar,
everything, which is
and on
great.
top of that, Durgar are one of the villains. That could have been fucking Homer for all we know.
That literally could have been Homer.
That literally could have been Homer, and that's what my brain was thinking the whole time. Like, did that fucking Homer do? The fuck?
Is that Homer, dude? He's not gonna tell you his name.
No, he literally said he wouldn't.
I would never tell you my name. Say you're my boyfriend.
Say, oh my boyfriend, do it, do it. I'll never speak to you again now.
I'm not. Don't speak to me again, you fucker.
Son of a bitch, you hurt my feelings.
Regardless, I think that was. Oh, this is such a fun. This is a
No,
fun
dude, we
campaign.
played until fucking 1 o'clock, dude. That's
This is technically the third official session of this, and my god, every session has been. It's been so good. It's
yeah,
been
no, the shit
so
pops.
freaking good. I love
The
it.
shit pops, dude.
This is the
The
first
shit
one we've
pops.
actually streamed, and I think it's gone well. When we do this, I'm going to continue to use the cam. It's been great.
Yeah,
I think it's been fantastic. And beyond that point, oh my god, I'm just having so much fun. And now all week you're going to think about that, and then we have Friday, which is getting good too. Man, our campaigns are getting better and better by the moment.
yeah, and they're evolving because we learn from the mistakes and we
Exactly.
grow from them.
That's why when I was saying about like it, the importance of like letting players know stuff. That's what I mean. I think Fridays has taught me a lot about like giving out information. I mean, like there's a way of giving out information to your players about certain monsters that would be common knowledge, especially with Volo's guide actually being a canon thing to know and like having so many actual references. There'd be people who write about shit like this all the time. It would be impossible for it to not for you guys not to know certain things. Like Malik being an undead person. I mean, granted, is Malik dumb? Yes, but they would know stuff just from
Yeah,
growing up about stuff.
and
Like,
like if he has like a community, like say for instance, there's probably like a few, not like a bunch, because you can't have that only population of vampires or vampires. It's impossible.
yeah,
You would starve eventually.
literally.
But there would be at least talks, or your parents. It's like the boogeyman, right? They tell you stories about the boogeyman, and so they'd be like, there's this fucking one guy, and I think every vampire at some point would eventually know of Strahd. He is the original vampire.
It's almost like without him
It's
being a
like it's like
bard.
Coralon. It's like Coralon, right? Without Coralon, there are no elves. Without Strahd, there are no vampires.
Literally, and not even without that. Even if Strahd wasn't the original vampire,
There would be another one,
there would be
right?
another one. And with the
And you
amount
wouldn't
of
know them.
bards and player like people who have visited Barovia and left, granted not a lot of them, enough
Yeah.
have that the word about Strahd existence and him being like all the knowledge would already be out there just from
You
the.
know how many people have gone into Barovia, killed Strahd, made it back out,
And he's back.
and yeah, because it doesn't matter how many times you killed the guy.
He just finds another way to exist somewhere else. Okay, he's gone from. Oh, okay, Strahd is gone from Barovia here in the Forgotten Realms. He could just appear anywhere.
No, like if we're like talking about lore, Strahd, like anyone in their domain, does not die. They always die and respawn
Oh, you're
later
right.
on.
Even regardless of
Yeah,
if he dies, he always comes back.
yeah. No, he always
You're
responds.
right.
So what happens is Barovia Strahd brings someone in when he is bored or he wants a challenge, and that's how people enter most of the time. Or they stumble upon it in some random form, shape, or way through an accident, and then they get stuck there and they have to fight him eventually, and then that's the only way to leave, and then he just respawns again. And it doesn't even like matter how many times he dies. He can die 1,000 times. He will still come back because that's his personal hell. He
Yeah,
is not
it's
meant for
torment.
happiness.
That
Yeah, that's
a lot of people from a lot of people that are a part of. I'm trying to even remember. I can't, it's been. It is late and we're just rambling for the most part,
mhm.
but it's not even Barovia. I don't remember the name of the book. What's the book about the entire area?
The Domains of Dread thing.
Domains of Dread things.
Ben Richten's guide
Yeah,
to Ravenloft.
there we go. Brains are slow. Ravenloft.
Mhm.
Even with Ravenloft, most of those people are stuck there for a reason. They're stuck.
No, they're all stuck there.
They're
They
all.
can't. It's because basically what happened was Strahd lived somewhere, right? This place was called Barovia or Ravenloft. It doesn't matter which one it is because I don't know exactly
The
which
whole
one, right?
entire place goes with them.
Yeah, it went with him. So they are in turn stuck with this motherfucker. Not because of choice, but because they happen to live in the area he died.
Yeah, and that entire like world
Yeah,
went with him,
yeah,
which
exactly.
is crazy. All right, well, we're done.
Mhm.
We're done.
Oh, and it's like out of random too, like
Yeah,
besides the last minute thing.
go
I've
ahead.
been currently using domains, Fey domain specifically, which has been really fun in Monday. Uh, because I'm doing like a dream based campaign for that thing. So everything will be like revolved around dreams. They just act like domains,
Okay.
and it's just it's really cool.
Uh,
It's interesting so far,
yeah, that
like
sounds
what's starting to
awesome.
develop.
We'll definitely have to talk about that because I still need to figure out what I want to do for Valbar. I'm still developing Valbar's patron and stuff. That's why I wanted confirmation from Chris. Just like you didn't start making anything for
Yeah,
your Fey patron essentially, and he told me no. So thank
yeah,
goodness that most of my writing isn't just gone. Which I mean, it's fine if it was, but like
yeah. Because like so you haven't gotten to read Witch Beyond the Wild Light.
no.
Essentially speaking, what's interesting is that every archfey has their own domain, similar to that of a domain of dread,
Yeah, literally.
and they have their own rules within each of them. So, like hospitality could be a
I've read
rule.
that. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
There's specific things about what it is, and clearly via how Valbar acts as a person, it's going to be connected to the way that Valbar grew up. So I want
Yeah.
to make sure that it's canonical to what he knows and what it makes sense. He's a chipper guy for a reason,
Yeah.
right? He
Exactly.
wasn't just born chipper. He was
No,
raised
he
that
was
way.
probably born very depressed and then became chipper.
Yeah,
Who knows, right?
that's up to him to decide. But like,
Yeah.
I think normally as an individual growing up, rather, no matter what you are or who you are, like there's things that define you, and with that, it's hard to tell, and it's hard to tell because as children we don't remember a lot of things. We forget most of it as we're growing up. Until you're reminded of small things and then things are impacted. So remembering that as a human being and placing that into characters and other NPCs and stuff, it can create interesting dialogue. It can create things that no one's going to remember. That's why
Yeah.
when you pick things from childhood, uh, whether that's specific or not, it makes it a lot easier for people to wrap their brains around it because they're not going to remember it. Or if they do remember it, they pack it deep down in there because they don't want it digged out. That's why with Malik, it made sense when they were first like getting hungry or the first time that they do that. Their parents didn't know because it kind of comes whenever it comes. Like
Yeah.
it could come at 18. It's hard to tell when those damn pyre powers are going to actually activate for a person. So in response, when that happened, the hunger immediately hits you.
Yeah.
So
It's
it
like
doesn't matter
in
who they're around, they're going to go for the blood.
it's like in some lore, like I was watching like some show, I don't remember what the hell it was or whatever, but they had to have a first kill. And the first kill they had to have as a werewolf was someone who loved them. So they had to make someone
Oh,
fall in love with them and then kill that person.
oh,
Or,
that's some Fable shit. Holy stuff.
right? Or they
Oh,
would like forever transform,
yeah. That literally reminds me of something of like that they would put in Fable like as a choice,
right?
as like you would get slight powers of of a werewolf, and then at the point of making this person fall in love with you, in order to keep the powers, you would have to kill them. If you would be willing to give up the powers, you would get like good points or something like that, and the
Yeah.
werewolf disease would go away, but you wouldn't get stronger. Clearly,
Yeah, exactly.
it's simple concepts like that, but that's a fucking awesome way of creating something unique for a werewolf or anything. I love it when you look at it. You look. One thing that I've learned, especially Baldur's Gate 3, has helped me
Oh yeah.
massively.
So
This
much,
is
dude.
actually Baldur's Gate 3. I can't even tell you
The
how
hag,
much
the
that's helped
hag,
me.
Ethel, that
Was
that
nuts,
combat was one person turning into fucking 3 to 4 people, blasting our asses
literally, and
like they were actually there. I'm like, oh my God.
it's a reminder that the stat blocks or just at least monsters in general are given descriptions for a fucking reason. Look at the description before you look at the stat block. You look at the descriptions of what they could do. Then look at the descriptions of like some of the base ideas and stuff. Like when I was looking at the Revenant, there was descriptions of them having the past abilities of what they had before, like having the magical abilities and creating unique stuff like that. I'm like, oh, well, that would make sense that this guy is able to do this and make it a unique encounter to remind Malik of what they
Exactly.
had before they come and try to kill Malik.
That's what
What?
I'm saying. Like if he wanted to, whatever spells he had access to, say for instance, it was 9th level spells, like just as a throwing it out there, right?
Yeah,
He could have just done that and started. But he knew he was confident enough, at least, in his ability to continuously come back over and over and over again.
wasn't counting on someone making a wish for his soul to go
No,
back down there.
no, no, of course not. They're like, okay, I two-shot this guy. Like this is the guy I've been chasing. I've been like I've
Yeah,
been holding on to this anger, this grudge, this revenge for someone I can two-shot. He is
dude.
nothing. That like you have to think, oh, he is nothing. I can beat him without my powers for
Malik
now.
making those wisdom saving throws in passing was clutch. Because this
Well,
is what that thing did. It just looked at you. It doesn't require an
oh,
action.
I
It doesn't
know.
require anything.
I know.
It looks at you and you
I
see the
know.
what it can possibly do to you. If
I
it
know.
if Malik didn't pass that 15 DC, paralyzed immediately,
Yeah.
and that's auto crits. And what it's adding to those auto crits, because it's the target that they're looking
Yep.
for, it's adding that extra d6s. That's not the right CR for that creature. That's not the right CR.
That is
That's not the
what?
right CR. Just for that, the
That is
auto crit.
12d6. That is 12d6.
That's that. Yeah,
On that's 12d6.
on average, if we're talking about it targeting the creature it desires to kill, that's 12d6 because you're stopping its movement. It's rushing at you with vampire-like speed,
Hmm.
not zombie speed, vampire-like speed, doing that extra damage because you're a target. If we're talking about 12d6, that okay, so 60, 66, 72. That's a guaranteed. A max 70, 72 damage per hit. 2 attacks per hit. A max 72 damage, minimum 12. That's not okay for a CR5 creature. That's just my opinion. That's not okay.
And
That's
you have
not
to remember,
CR5.
that's just him alone. There's nothing that says a revenant can't get allies.
No.
There's
It's an
nothing in the rule
undead
books.
creature.
There's nothing in the rule books that says a revenant can't just go pick up a random hobo. Or not a random hobo, but like
Random hobo.
someone someone who he could pay off, right? So say for instance, he has a year, right?
Yeah.
A smart revenant, he goes, okay, I know who I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with someone normal. This guy, this person, whoever killed me is probably strong. He goes and he says, well, I'm gonna hire some people out. Because nothing in their stat block, right, says that he can't have money. So,
No.
right? So he can literally hire people.
It's just
Just
that
him alone is strong enough, but he can hire people
it's
too.
not a zombie. I can't stress this enough. This is not a zombie. It gives zombie-esque creatures as like it comes out and it acts like a zombie. But if you look at its stats, you look at its intelligence and the fact that it knows every language that it used to know before. It knows every language that it used to know before. That breaks my mind and it's amazing how
Hmm.
cool that is. That it knows all the languages. It's essentially like, okay, I'm a new person.
Yeah, I'm a newborn, but
I have a year to
OP.
be a new person and then
Yep.
get what I need to get done. It doesn't matter what level you are, revenants are broken. Doesn't matter what level.
He can spend 6 months literally gathering up enough people to destroy. Like, if we're a team,
That's
right? And we're
BBEG
a big,
level.
yeah, and we're a big enough team. And there's also nothing, once again, there's nothing in the stat block that says you can't give him a class to add on to what he already
That's
knows.
what I'm saying. Like,
There's nothing that says he can't be a blood hunter.
there's no monster.
There's no
There's
limits,
no anything.
technically.
Technically, there's no limits. There's no. This is what I've realized, and Boulder's Grade 3 has made me
Hmm.
very much aware of this as far as, like, the experience. Even if you don't like the story of Boulder's Grade 3 and you're not a big RPG person, I strongly recommend you play it if you're into D&D because it gives you like an authentic what I mean, this is how I actually imagine D&D being played, or at least the characters experience when you're interacting with something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every little thing matters. When it comes to class, it can matter. When it comes to race, it can matter in conversations. And it's still made by checks. Like every little thing matters and it's
The fact,
absolutely fantastic. That's how
the
it should be
fact that,
played.
the fact that the whole, just seeing through the guise of the entire forest was based on a check, right?
Yeah.
So that dramatically changed how the story would turn out.
And it was
Because
hilarious.
we would see a bunch of sheeps buying instead of the red caps that were there. And so, in all honesty, we would probably let our guards down a little bit more than we would going in. Because
Literally.
we're seeing just like, how the fuck does she have that much control over the forest? That's pretty strong. And how many people haven't noticed that? Right? How many people have just literally walked into there and it's
Like
like, oh, normal.
the way that they describe the hag, the way that they talk about the hag, the way that the hag is able to express and show what it's capable of before it does things, it made it clear what that hag's purpose was. Not all hags are the same creature. This creature specifically was good with deals. It made deals. It was one of those things where it's just like, I can give you this, and in response, I'm probably gonna. It's not. You're not gonna know she's gonna take anything. But
Cool.
if they come and they ask her for stuff, she's capable of giving it to her. But there's always a fucking stipulation, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to
And
hags and
especially
witches.
when, like, the way it was dealt with, right? At the end of the combat, she's begging for her life.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, look, laddie, I'll fuck this girl. I don't need her right now, right? We just strike a deal together, and I get off scot-free." And then she's just like, the girl's talking about, "Hey, what about our deal?" "Oh, it's off the table." What?
There was no deal that we knew about. I mean,
No,
clearly, I mean, from an outside perspective, yeah, there could be a deal, but
there was.
I mean, clearly there
There was
was.
apparently, yeah, there was apparently a deal that we didn't even
And
know
then she
about as
started getting
players.
aggressive with us because we ruined her
Mhm.
deal. It had to do with something with her husband, and I mean, there was no way to know because unfortunately, I think the game broke on us a little bit because she wasn't
No, I
aggressive.
think I think that's just how was supposed to play out. I
Like she
really,
was
she
supposed to be
doesn't,
aggressive.
no, like aggressive, but not doing anything, right? She's an enemy, but she is not an enemy at the same time, right? So technically, we were still rolling for initiative, and we were still in turn order, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's either we slew her or we knocked her out. We knocked her out. That means she's still alive in the world.
Which, I mean, from my speculation, she was mentioning her husband and stuff. It could have been referring
Yeah.
to the fact that her husband didn't want the fucking child. Uh, she was offering the child to the hag. The hag was
Yep.
just like, "That the baby needs to be healthy. I'll take the child from you, and
Hmm.
then your husband will want to be back with you." I don't know. That was just my first thought when she mentioned the husband. But then again, we don't know anything about the deal.
And
We're going to have to
also,
play it back through in order to
yeah,
really talk to her,
literally.
or figure out exactly what was necessary in order to see that stuff. And that is absolutely fantastic when it comes to a game, and it's a great example of a fucking module. You running through a module every single
Hmm.
time and having different results. I
Because
actually want to play Icewind Dale again.
the thing is that she was on the other spectrum, right? She was force feeding her, which was suspect, clearly.
Yeah.
And then she put her in a cage, which is like another clearly, of course, there's no not red flag, right? This thing is red flag city. But she was also collecting essence of people. She had the essence of sorrow. She had the essence of love. So would this be the essence of grief then afterwards from loss? Would she be the essence of loss? She was clearly fattening her up to make an essence out of her. She was just going to become one of the people. We had to fight people with these fucking masks on. We didn't know who the fuck we were.
Yeah, and apparently we could knock them out, but at the same time, not really because they just died afterwards.
They were really fucking no,
No, you
I
took
couldn't knock
the
them
no
out.
no.
They were too strong, really. We couldn't knock them out
Uh,
with the
we
composition
knocked
we
out
had.
one person. We took the mask off that guy, and he
Yeah,
died because the mask was the only thing keeping him alive.
exactly. And they didn't want to fight us. They
No,
didn't have a choice.
no.
So that was a mystery by itself that was never even fucking solved.
And I love it. I
I
think
know.
it's so good. It's a perfect representation of how a base D&D game that is a module, right? Imagine you're picking up a book and you're playing through it so many different times and you're
And all it
going
says
through
is
different
Bold.
results.
It just says Baldur Gates 3, and it's like, okay, this is the rules of how you run this campaign. This is all the possible options that there is, and these are all the checks and the DCs you need for all of them.
We are
Have
getting
fun.
early access to a game that is going to be massive. Massive. We have no idea what we're about to get with Baldur's Gate 3. We have no idea because we've only gotten the small little taste. Just a
Yep.
tiny taste and it's
We
massive.
just we just got to the Underdark and we got fucking sniped.
We have no idea what we're going to do when we pop back in.
No.
I mean, we're probably going to find out tomorrow because I'm very tired at the moment.
Yeah,
And
understandable.
and,
Same.
and we're probably going to end up going to bed sometime soon.
Yeah.
But beyond that point, we we have no idea what's in the Underdark. We
That's a
just
whole nother.
discovered the Underdark,
The map looks about the same size as the fucking overworld that
which
we were on.
means
So
which means the possibility of it literally being an underground map of the small underworld, the small little portion that we have, is
yep.
crazy. Think about that. If the Underdark is in every other portion of this world that they are making, and they're making an Underdark world of the base world that they're doing, they
And
are going overboard,
we found it by
and I love
accident.
it.
We found it by accident.
Yeah, we were just exploring a puzzle. That puzzle ended up, as annoying as the puzzle was, we ended up figuring out exactly what we needed to figure out.
I just thought it was for treasure, right? So we're thinking, oh, this is just like a fucking treasure, and that's
Yeah.
it.
And
We're
it's,
not thinking it's an entire world to unlock.
I never thought I would say this, but I would love to actually do an actual a playthrough of Icewind Dale where I'm not just going off of like, base dumb rules. I would love to do a Rime of the Frost Maiden campaign that's actually, legit, and I can see it now. I think one of my biggest issues with Rime of the Frost Maiden was like I couldn't imagine or like really see it for like a real like person walking through a person is walking through and all this random bad shit's happening and there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just really bad shit. It just seemed like an unfortunate
Yeah.
situation. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of like Baldur's Gate 3 now that I've done this and I've experienced that game and understand like from what D&D kind of is, that is the D&D experience. I can see it. I can now put myself in the shoes of a character walking through and examining the scenarios. I can see the towns. I can see the NPCs. I can see the multiple dialogue options. I was not able to see that before because I had a hard time imagining it. Like that game in itself helps me imagine what that stuff is because I, I never looked at it from that lens before.
And also, I think what helps about like, BG3, right? It has a connecting thread between all the characters, even the random one you make, right? So this guy, the person you're playing is literally a fucking rando. They don't have like a real story like everyone else does in the game, right?
But they're
But you're
connected.
creating, exactly, you're creating the story with them. And the thing about that too is like you're saying too, right? They're all connected, right? So I think that's the hardest thing for players to do.
Yeah,
I think that is the only thing that is, if anything, an issue, right?
true enough.
If there is like an issue to be had, it is hard for players to connect their characters to each other, even no matter how much like backstory building we do together. I think I think it's sometimes just really hard for them to be able to express that background that they never seen.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a natural thing that the mind does because first of all, we're seeing it through the lens of okay, Ben's right there, and I'm talking to Ben, and I'm talking about hey Ben, how does Jerry think about what's going on, and Ben goes, well, I think Jerry would hate the fact that you're a priest, and then he stabs him.
Yeah.
But he's
Or
going
it's
from
just
the
like,
base concept of
and
like this is what I think his brain would do, but you're not actually putting your brain into that. You're
and the
still
best
Ben.
example, the best example we have is of with Friday and Alex, right? So how long did we even really truly know Alex?
Not
There's
that long.
no, in all honesty, it's like one of those things where there can't probably really be a definitive number of time that we have actually spent in each other's backstories, right?
No. Th-
Because everything would have alluded to why are we hanging out with this guy
This
already?
guy's a freak.
Before, yeah, so if we're talking about like that, once again, right? If we're putting it in the shoes of the character, we don't talk to Alex ever.
Literally.
Like, if we knew Alex was always like this, right? We wouldn't talk to Alex at all.
And that's what I think is great because with I'm relating everything back to Baldur's Gate 3 because this is
Mhm.
the topic of conversation. Baldur's Gate 3 this is how it opened my mind. When I went through that perspective as far as like Alexander, like the whole Alexander situation, I'm seeing it every time that you guys are making a decision. Every time that you guys are doing that, whether you guys are grouped up like you're able to do in Baldur's Gate, or split up, even with today, I'm looking at it from you are literally walking up in a direction, talking to somebody, and have these options. Like my job as a DM is when you're walking up and interacting with something, expressing if something is going on over there, if something else is going on over there, I tell you, do you do anything about it? That's your call. If something's going on over there, something is always going on, whether it's good or
Yep.
bad. That's why when I express the king's arrival, regardless of what you guys are doing, something is going on. In a world that is active, when we're talking about the world that we live in right now, there's always something going on in the world that we wake up to and we're like, fuck, that sucks, that's new.
Yep.
That would not change if we're going into the perspective of what a person is experiencing
So
in a world as well.
let's use Saturday as an example, right? You roll, right? We got the fire fucking alarm.
Yeah,
Okay,
we did.
so that's not. I went to bed, and no longer than like an hour later, because I didn't get to sleep that day. That was a terrible day for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's one of those things where it's like you can't control, right? You
No,
can't control what
that
happens.
sucks.
I got an hour of sleep before the bell rang. So after that, I couldn't go to bed. I slept probably around like 8:30.
Mm,
And then I woke up again around like 10. I
shit.
just, yeah. So I just couldn't control that, right? So that is
No.
like something happening in the world and
Mm.
you have no fucking control, right?
There's I think that is the major disposition when it comes to like D&D and stuff is the illusion of control. It's an
Oh,
illusion. You can feel like you can control things, but you don't have any control of anything that isn't affecting
no.
you. You can control things that are coming from you as a person because that is reality. That's the world, baby. Sometimes we're able to control things, and most of the times we're not able to control things. We can control how we react to things. We can
Exactly.
control how we act afterwards. But the world itself is going to control how you are acting, how you are doing things, or not how you are acting,
Yeah.
how it's presented, the scenarios that you are given. How do you react to those scenarios? This is how Alexander acted to those scenarios. Alexander was given a fucking a middle finger for the amount of drinks he had not paid, for the amount of whores that he slept with. Let's face it, they're whores. He didn't ask if they were students or not. No, he didn't sleep with students. He
Yep.
slept with whores. Whores cost money. Whores are coming from the bar. The bar is racking up money. Money is the bills are not coming to him because they know this motherfucker's going to come back. And once that motherfucker's going to come back, he's going to rack up even more of a bill because he's refusing to pay. He's leaving.
Yeah, no,
He's
they
not
want
paying.
him
He's
to.
leaving. As
They want him to have debt.
Yeah, that way that they can make a more of a payout later if that's the
Yep.
case. Most of the time they wouldn't do that, but seeing Alexander as a person, seeing the facade of the oh, I want to be this glorious bard and do all this thing to
But it's also the fact that they knew he was in the academy. They knew people from the academy make bread.
yeah,
We made enough to pay off his debt, and that's it. And like, right, we made just enough to pay off his debt.
literally, and that's the
So
thing.
therefore, they knew that was going to happen eventually. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it's fine, continue.
We're gonna get our money no matter what. But wanted poster, you going to jail, and then eventually someone wanting you to get out because you're an academy student and it's gonna look bad on you.
Exactly.
Or two, you're just going to pay us.
And either that or like we are fresh graduates. Like,
This
holy shit,
the guy who
we
owns
are newbies.
the bar is not a dickhead. He's only a dickhead to the persons who are the worst. He views
Yeah,
Alexander as one of the worst people in
no,
existence.
he is, and he showed it time and time again.
That's just how that was.
And
Whether
that's
he
the
was
thing
or
of
not, but the best part about
it's
that
no, the
is,
thing is that was the real life Alex all the fucking time.
I know.
He
The
was like that the entire time.
the
Day one,
best
he was like that.
the best part the best part is that it's the illusion of heroism, the potential of heroism. It was
Mhm.
always in Michael's court, and the part that no one else realized that Michael knew is that he knew exactly what this character was doing at all moments.
Oh yeah,
It was
no,
great, and that's why
yeah.
I was very impressed with Michael with how he played Alexander because it wasn't me going, oh, Alexander, you're noticing this. It wasn't me going, Michael, Alexander's doing this. It was Michael doing, I'm doing this. I make a check, I perform, and this is how Alexander perceives his performance. That's
Right?
better than me asking for a performance check and me going, okay, so you perform decently. I'll do it here and then, but the way that Alexander's mind is working and thinking that he's this glorious bard that's performing and stuff, and that that he's just having these people have sex with him, or he's having sex with these girls because of his music, isn't a fucking illusion, and
Yep.
is an illusion he's making in his own mind.
Yep. No,
That's great.
literally.
That's
I
fucking
know.
great.
It broke the fucking fourth wall so hard, dude.
Yeah, it broke the fourth wall so hard, but when you think of it from that perspective, it's fucking awesome.
Oh no, no, that's so fucking brilliant. Like that's it's literally just like once again we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go with like
Mm-hmm.
or like Kish Kish or like Tyrion. Tyrion thought he was the fucking man, dude. Like he never said it out loud, but Tyrion thought he was a fucking power because he had the power of a dragon inside of him.
Oh yeah, he was a cocky motherfucker.
He was like, holy shit, I'm so strong. No one can beat me. I'm his fucking tearing you apart. He's a goblin. Dude, you're still a goblin at the end of the fucking day.
Literally. And I think confidence is a good thing to put into your character. There's nothing wrong with that. But it can also be looked at as a flaw if you're using it
Oh,
for the
it's a
wrong
flaw.
reasons. Anything that might be a good or a positive, or that you put into like the positive column and not the flaw column, can be looked as a flaw or
Yeah,
as a
like it's
positive. It doesn't matter what you
the
put in that
the
column.
overabundance of XYZ will always lead to a failure and a flaw. Just like
Literally.
how overprotective, fucking what do you call it? Um, Pajama Party was.
Hmm.
She was pushing everyone away because of that. She was overbearing. That was like a fucking like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
We just started to know each other. Like, I don't know you from a fucking hole in the wall. Like, calm down. Let's become friends slowly, and then we can like interact with each other. Like, you're
Hmm.
acting like you know me for 500 years, bro.
Yeah, for
Like,
real.
you literally,
Just chill.
I just fucking met you. We barely have a relationship.
And yet, and that's one of the interesting things about, I think, how party members meet. And like if you're meeting on the road, or if you're meeting here, or like that, the whole old, we all meet at a tavern and we all do this because we all met at a tavern and a bar fight came out. I mean, granted, it's a good trope to use because it's used all the time, but the flaw in the whole old tavern trick is there's still a bunch of random people, unless you pair them up together, that's that are meeting each other and have no connection. Granted, connection is not necessary. It really isn't necessary if you have the right players and the right people. And
So,
Baldur's Gate does prove a very good example of that. That these are very random people, but somehow they're able to connect in a lot of different ways. But you know why? It's because of the mind thing. Because there's a simple connection. If you are able to make a simple connection between all these random party members and a reason why they're coming together, it makes it a lot easier for those people to talk. And when they start talking, they can express each other. And when they
but
express
I,
each other selves, it could either go bad or it can go great. Yeah,
but
but
people
they
like
develop relationships.
people have an innate fear, like I've noticed at the table, of fucking up. They think that what they're saying sometimes, like if they say, like my
Mm-hmm.
backstory has X, Y, and Z involved in
Mm-hmm.
it, they think that's terrifying to express. And so sometimes, because I have so many players
Yeah,
that I play with over the like course of a year, and
exactly.
sometimes they are extremely like horrified. That's like a nerve-wracking experience to delve into something that has happened to their character that they're
Mm-hmm.
unsure of because they feel nervous a lot to really say or think or even allude to anything in their backstory
Which
that
is,
has any real tangible evidence to it, right?
yeah,
Because I can't prove anything that happened in your backstory, right? So
right?
you can tell me anything and it'll
That's the
be my
thing.
canon, right?
You,
And it's like,
yeah,
you
literally.
know, it doesn't have to be like super crazy. Like I've been telling so many like random tidbits here and there as Lefty, and
Mm-hmm.
also Malik has done the same too as well. And Marcel hasn't alluded to anything.
And that's perfectly fine, which is great. I
Yeah.
think Marcel is the way that Jake is playing Marcel is very interesting because I think Marcel is one of these characters that are very guarded. You could already tell immediately. You don't even have to think that about that kind of stuff. Like it's if you're insightful enough, you can tell that Marcel's being guarded about everything,
Uh-huh.
and that's an illusion with like
Yeah,
intelligent characters.
the real reason why he's telling me to do this is because he wants to experiment.
He's a freak.
He just wants to see what can happen, what the possibilities are of me tapping into this deity thing. He's using his mind powers over and over and over again.
Yeah,
He's experimenting to see how much he can push out of this power that he's just randomly attained.
and the innate curiosity that's hidden in underneath this facade that is
Whole goodness.
the,
He wants me as a character, as my character, to perceive it as, no, you can do your own thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And don't feel pressured to do what I'm saying. I'm just saying we can have this revenant gone and done for, and he can never touch us again, right? But he just wants to see what the fuck is going to happen when I cast the wish.
Yeah, like is this guy legit? Like he's having before he even attempted to talk to you, Lefty. He heard a voice. Whether that creature knew he was going to get a response or not, he entered the link. He talked through the link, and he decided to respond. Now, this is just a guess that this guy was going to respond regardless whether he knew he was on the link or not, or whether there's a connection.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. He responded. He got a reaction, and that response innately decided, hey, let's just... okay, I'm having a conversation with this person. How is this conversation going to go? Describe this, describe that. He looks around. He notices that you are that said person. This immediately has an intrigue in his brain. Like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Why is he here?
Like, what are the odds? What are the absolute motherfucking odds? Once again, a genie venting to a random person on the line about this guy not using the fucking wish. There is the... Like, that's why I'm saying, like, as my character, the odds don't make any sense. They don't add up. It hasn't been adding up this whole time.
No.
And then all of a sudden, the rainbow guy is connected. What? The fuck?
Why all the stuff, all the sudden, but also the thing is like, things are connected. Like, especially when... Once again, Baldur's Gate 3 helped me figure that out very quickly. If you notice the surrounding environment, and we're not even talking about Baldur's Gate, the surrounding environment, everything was connected in some other way. Or not necessarily all the time, but when it connected, it was because there were major things that were important. Like, Rainbow Guy was a random thing, it seemed like, that happened. An unfortunate random thing. He got branded, some shit sucked. You found out more about him. Oh, it sucks even more. Okay, cool. We'll have to keep him in the back of our mind. We already have this Duragar situation. This Duragar doesn't really seem to be affected anyway. But I did get stabbed by this Duragar. That sucks. All of a sudden, oh shit. Now that I'm cured of this poison, I'm connected to this network that allows me to talk to a Duragar. Why the fuck are you able to talk to a Duragar in particular? Why is a Duragar on the line with you and talking with you? The Duragar was already talking with you inside the prison anyway. That's weird. Why is one talking to me again now? That's interesting how I'm connected to a line of Duragar. That doesn't seem to be a coincidence. It is a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's there for a reason. Not only that, we have the fucking genie that we just recently talked about, or whatever it is. You never know. We still, it's in the form of a genie because it's your patron. This genie has connected every single thread so far, including the one with the worm in your head. And with that connecting thread, things are starting to slowly make a little bit more sense. But it doesn't always have to make sense either. What I'm saying is the connecting threads, if you feel like the connecting threads can pull intrigue to your character or to your players, the connecting threads can be like they're slowly figuring something out. Whether they figure it out immediately or later, or maybe at the end of the campaign they figure it out. Yep. It's something they're doing, but it's based off the stuff that they're choosing to do. They had every choice not to do any of that. They could have completely did something completely different, ignored what was going on. He could have ignored the line that was going on in his brain. And he's the one who told me his brain was always active. Yeah, if your brain is always active, you're one of the only motherfuckers that can hear shit on that line almost all the time.
And that means, like I was telling him, not even alluding to it, I told him, I was like, you don't turn your brain off. That means you're constantly probably sending out signals.
Yes. Which
It's
means
like
people are going to contact you.
it's like if you were on a cell phone, but that cell phone was connected to every single other cell phone on that tower. And for whatever reason, that it's like radio signals, right? So you can pick up that radio signal and tap into it easily on command because you just tune yourself to that signal. Like the guy didn't find you by accident. None of those two people found you by accident. And then the random naked lady that we come across also finds you by accident.
And that was based off a stupid scenario he just randomly made. I was like, okay, I guess there's a naked lady here. I'm gonna make a way to find it connect because granted I've been doing this long enough for my brain to be like, okay, let's see how I can make it connect and my brain to go in that fashion. It doesn't always have to connect. I want to
Yeah,
emphasize that it does not
yeah,
always have to connect. For me, after going through and playing through Baldur's Gate 3, that's where my brain goes because me experiencing that through like a player lens, quote unquote, in that game made me realize how much that intrigues my brain, and in doing so, I thought if I can do that, I think if I can do that, I can intrigue other people's brains as well
yeah.
by using
And
the same
also,
strategy.
they also had a very clear, undefined rule about turning the thing off and then on and then off and then no
Right?
one seemed to quote unquote understand it because they kept giving different answers.
No, no one understands what they truly are experiencing with this line. This line is a complete. I mean, it's a
And
mind flare
and
line.
and the thing is that they keep saying they, right? So they never alluded to who they everyone somehow knows who they are, but they have never said who they are.
They may not even know.
That's what I'm saying. But then why would they be angry? Why would this entity be angry that they're turning it off if they want them to turn it off? Because if he's saying that he's always online, but and he's like, oh, is there a way to turn it off? He's like, they don't want you to turn it off. That means in that spectrum, no one ever is offline.
They just think they are.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the contradiction. I'm like, that
It
doesn't.
could be.
But then we have the freaking 20 million IQ guy over here just not putting that together. That's not a player or a character
No, that's just his.
thing. It's just
That's a Marcel thing. It
exactly.
doesn't matter. Like, I mean, your stat sheets can help you determine how your character thinks, but it's still
Yeah.
ultimately coming from your perspective on how your character is
Hmm.
processing it. You can have a million IQ and not use any bit of that IQ, and literally
Yeah.
just go and gamble all the fucking time, jerk off on the side of the road,
But the thing
and
is
do
that
whatever the fuck you want to do.
what's
Who
even worse
knows?
about that is that you're in more
Ghost graphics,
control of
sorry.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're in more control of what you're doing than anyone, that means. Because if you're that smart, you know exactly what you're doing. You know the possible outcomes and consequences of what you're doing. That means you're not taking any of the bad into consideration.
No,
And you're filtering out anything bad that can happen.
if you notice what Marcel and the way that he's playing it, Marcel's actively ignoring the bad things. He knows the bad things. And his brain's going to pick up on the bad things. He's probably going to pick it up more than anyone else here.
Yeah.
But he's
And then
actively
he's
ignoring them.
he got the ring and he's like, "Oh hell no.
He knows it's bad.
Oh hell
He
no."
knows it was bad.
But meanwhile, he's still telling me to do the wishes, right?
That says a
Because it's
lot
not
about
him.
Marcel, right?
It's not him who's getting the shit end of the stick.
It's a random kobold. Yes, the kobold's his friend and he cares about him. But
How much
in
does he care about
retrospective,
him?
these two nobles that have high standing in society, that have all these things that if one of them dies, there will be some sort of consequences because of their standing in the world. And regardless of them just being children of the ones that have standing, they're children of the ones who have standing. Malik
Yep.
is a child of a very high end vampire clan that has no that granted they're not bad people, they're good people, but
I need to use the bathroom right quick.
well, we can just end it then
Yeah,
because
okay,
we're
I just do
tired.
that.